Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Hutch, and thanks so much for joining me on this journey through the world of whiskey. Today we're going to do a review of what is easily the most surprising whiskey I've ever owned, and that's Chattanooga 111 Cask Strength. So let's get to it. Alright, so Chattanooga 111 Cask Strength. Obviously we're talking about something that is 111 proof, and the price on this bad boy is right around 40 to 45 bucks, and that is a great price, especially for craft whiskey. So really interesting backstory here for Chattanooga Distillery down in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Post-Prohibition era, they did not repeal their laws preventing alcohol from being distilled. I think there was some alcohol allowed over time, but no grain spirits and no whiskey were allowed to be distilled in Chattanooga, Tennessee until around 2015. And that's because the founders of Chattanooga whiskey, Tim Pearson and Joe Ledbetter are their names, they started a petition in the town to get a law passed to allow whiskey to be produced again within the town's borders. They, went back and forth with the legislator and eventually got the law passed. And that's why in 2015 they started producing their own stuff. And that's also why a lot of the stuff that they produce is still on the younger side. Speaking of younger side, this whiskey, what makes it so dang surprising is that it's only 2 years old. If you look on the back of the bottle, and one thing I love about Chattanooga is that they're really transparent with what's on the bottle. It says age greater than 2 years. So the youngest stuff in here can't be older than 3 years old, which is really surprising, especially given how dang good it is. Spoiler alert, it's really good. So batch size here, it says 6 to 10 barrels, and then it actually has the mash bill right on the back. Mash bill is yellow corn, malted rye, caramel malted barley, and honey malted barley. So that's super interesting, a super interesting mash bill for something in this Tennessee whiskey / bourbon world. 3 malted grains with 2 malted barley grains. Really unique, really interesting, and gives this whiskey a really cool and interesting character. They don't filter this, so it's filtration none. They warn you that some sediment might actually be left in the bottle. So what you're getting is an unfiltered 111 cask strength, only 2 years old though. So the question is, how good of a whiskey can they make at 2 years old? That's what we got to find out. So let's get into the nose and the palate and the finish, and we'll break down what we're finding. So on the nose, yeah, man, it's so good. It's one of those noses that just jumps out of the glass. It's not something you have to dig for. Many younger whiskeys, you're getting a lot of grain and alcohol, and you got to dig for other notes. This is not like that at all. There is sweetness up front, so like vanilla and caramel. There's some brown sugar notes in there. And sort of what dominates it a lot is that maltedness. If you've ever had like a Whopper, which has that like malt ball inside covered with chocolate, it actually smells a lot like that. So definitely some chocolate presence. And then maybe like a cherry note in there. I mean, just wonderfully complex for something that's 2 years old. Like, really, really good. Let's see if any of that carries through to the palate. Cheers. Oh, yeah. Whew. That is so dang good for 2 years old. So good. That Whopper note, that malted chocolatey note, I mean, that is the star of the show for sure. There is caramel and vanilla and like a brown sugar and a touch of oakiness to it. And then there's maybe a little bit of that cherry as well. A good amount of heat, like the 111 lets you know that it's there. There's a good Kentucky hug that you get, and a good deal of baking spices. I will say there is a touch of graininess and a certain amount of alcohol presence that you can detect, but when you're talking about a 2-year whiskey, you're expecting things that are jagged and sharp and sort of not rounded at all. And this is not like that at all. I mean, it's what you expect from something that's 111 proof. Let's go back to the palate one more time and focus on the finish. Cheers again. Yeah, really good finish too. I mean, it lingers. It's got this cherry, vanilla, and like cinnamon slash baking spices combo going on. That malted chocolate note certainly sticks around for quite a bit afterwards. And then you just sort of get this lingering sweetness that lasts for like a significantly long time. Wow. I mean, if you can tell, I'm gushing about it, but man, Chattanooga whiskey, they knocked it out of the park with this. And for something that's 2 years old, it's just totally showing up and firing on all cylinders. It drinks like something that is, 5 to 6 years old at that same proof point, and that is really, really impressive. So if you've been passing up on Chattanooga whiskey, seen it on the shelves and haven't gotten one yet, all I can say is go out and get one as soon as possible because they are doing great things. I'd recommend starting with the 111. That's the only one I've had so far, but I certainly am looking forward to getting more from them. And one of the things that's so great about this bottle is it gives you a glimpse of what the future is for Chattanooga whiskey. I know they released a bottled in bond recently in 2021 that people it just went gangbusters and people loved it. And that's something that's only at least 4 years old. So the future and the possibilities for Chattanooga whiskey are pretty much just endless, and that is an amazing thing. And I would just say, as a final note, that if in general you haven't really gotten into craft whiskey at all or haven't picked one up to try, I'd really recommend you go out and do that. It's a great, world within bourbon to dip your toes into and try something new. And also, it's just really great to see the beginnings of a distillery, see what they're offering from their own distillate, and be able to say, I was there when they began, and 5-6 years down the line when you're drinking one of their dang good whiskeys, you're going to say, I've been here since the beginning, and I knew this was going to happen. And that is a fun experience. If you've had Chattanooga whiskey before, put it down in the comments below and let me know what you thought. If there's other products from them that you'd like to see me try, let me know that as well. If you liked the video, please hit that like button. And if you're liking the content coming out of the channel, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps, and I'm looking forward to growing more and creating more content for you guys. Until I see you guys for another video, all I can say is keep drinking good whiskey and cheers.